friends, welcome here. My name is Rochelle. I'm your woman's alignment coach, and I am currently on an awareness journey of debunking and de influencing you from the coaching, the healing, the therapy, the wellness world. Because today we're going to talk about a subject that might throw my industry under the bus, but I think it's so important that we talk about it. There is a difference between a coach, a therapist, a healer, a naturopath, a energy worker, a psychic that is genuinely invested in your growth and transformation versus the person who is running a business. Now, it doesn't mean that the two can't overlap and that it's not possible for a business owner to also be for their clients' transformation and growth. But those, my friends, are few and far between. So let me explain a little bit about where I'm coming from, because I've been in this industry for over 10 years. I started as a therapist in the trauma world, and the things that I heard from many of my clients coming in to see me was my therapist told me that my story was too much for them and I traumatized them. My therapist said that no matter where I was at in my explanation of the situation, at the 55-minute mark, we were cut off no matter what. My therapist told me I needed to keep coming back even when I felt really good because I wanted my money, essentially. I've heard healers actually not be qualified or in a good headspace, so they're burnt out and actually giving not so great energy to their clients. I've heard of horror stories of somatic healers essentially enforcing their clients to go big and have like a massive release when their nervous system wasn't ready to. I've heard stories time and time again and experience in myself of high-level coaches essentially offering fluff and surface level information that you can find online or on YouTube or people's free workshops, and getting you to join big massive containers where you're not seen or heard anyway, and you just get a raw cheerleading session for about an hour a week. I've heard narratives of many manifestation coaches essentially teach you methods that will keep you broke instead of keep you thriving. And the reason why there are so many people out there like this, and I want to say that not everyone knows what they're doing, by the way, so I'm going to give people the benefit out. There is people in their own delusion that think that what they're doing is amazing transformation for people. And then there are people who are in there for the money and in there for the business. If you are going into a helping and healing industry and you don't care about people, you probably should choose another industry, first and foremost. I mean, I don't mean to throw people under the bus here, but I'm going to use doctors as an example because many of them become doctors for the street cred and for the income and don't really care about helping people. And then there's doctors who have been through a journey in their life and maybe they witnessed a parent or a grandparent go through something and they decided from that moment on that they're going to be the best damn doctor possible to help people go through that very same thing. And you can feel the difference. There's a frequency, there's a resonance there. The same goes for the coaching world. I'm going to use the coaching world as a very specific example because it's probably most prevalent in this scene. And I'll be completely honest with you, I hesitated for a really long time to actually take on the title as coach because that word just simply came with a lot of a bad taste in my mouth. And I think a lot of people have been burned by coaches in the past as well, where they think either they're a business coach, so they're for people that want to become like multi-level CEOs, and then there's the life coach who's really supporting you to change your diet, change your lifestyle. And now there's an amalgamation that we're seeing in the industry of coaches coaching coaches, and coaches, especially female coaches, really trying to sell you on a vibe, sell you on an experience, sell you on their methodology is the way to success. And though some of those things can actually help you, personally, I believe that a lot of those methods are a recipe for professionistic burnout, for feminine burnout, and for performative pressure to kind of keep up with the Joneses. What are the popular kids doing? So how can you discern the difference between a coach, a helper, a healer, a supporter, a therapist who is in it for the money versus in it for the mission and the transformation of their clients? Many people are not client-centered. Many people are not trained to be client-centered. Many people are trained in business. So they're here to make money off of you. So why on earth would they teach you the very thing that requires you not to depend on them, right? Again, I'm going to use the medical field as an example here because how many years has cancer been studied? How much money has been going into finding a cure for cancer, yet for some reason, they can't seem to figure it out. Well, it makes money, so why would they figure it out? There's only a select few amount of people that probably know the answer to that. There are many other people that are, if we're using the cancer example, that have found things that help heal their body. Traditional herbs and going really clean diet and these other lifestyle changes are very, very supportive. But I just know that there's that select few people who have unlocked something and they know things that we don't. And those select few are also in the wellness world, in the life coaching world, in the business world as well, where they're here to continually capitalize on your need to depend on them. They will give you enough information to get you to keep coming back and to get you to depend on them, but they won't give you the full shebang because that's bad business, right? I mean, think about it. A psychic that's a good psychic will continually tell you things that are going to upset and trigger you so that you keep booking more psychic sessions, right? I remember when I was supporting a friend of mine who was an osteopath and doing some marketing and social media and promotion for him, and he would often end his sessions saying, okay, I'll see you in 4 to 6 weeks, if at all, ever again. And I was like, this is such bad business because there are people's bodies who need tune-ups, and when you're not reminding them that they need tune-ups, then you're never going to get repeat clients. And he was like, but I don't need repeat clients. The point of my treatment is that you'll feel better when it's done. And at the time, I was a bit taken aback because, again, don't you want repeat clients? The other part that I kind of wanted to encourage him with is a lot of people don't know what they need, and they need the expert to guide them. And an expert who is for transformation and for your better life is not gonna feel like a cheesy pressure cooker salesperson. The one who is like, well, what's your resistance to this? Well, if you have fears against money, then you have to choose to invest or risk larger. If you haven't invested and gone into debt for your business, are you really truly in alignment with your mission and who you're meant to be in this world? And there's so much jargon out there. I remember also one time I spent like probably 6 hours back and forth with someone who I was potentially considering hiring as my coach. And the reason that I didn't hire them is because every single time that I brought up my hesitation and my fears, there was zero space held for my emotion. And there was a tactic and a pressure to be sold something. And the more time she gave me, the more guilt I felt for not booking with her. It's a tactic. And if you are a coach watching this, I want to remind you that we are taught strategies to success, and then you're invited to make them your own in a way that feels like it's within your integrity, within your values, within your morals, and just within the way you would want to be treated. I know for myself, I am always been a good salesperson. I've prior to this industry, I've been in management and sales and fashion. And a lot of my jobs in the past have been sales jobs, and I often became top salesperson, not because I'm pushy. I mean, if you've met me, that's the furthest thing from who I am, but because I believed in what I was offering someone, and I genuinely showed them the best option forward, whether that was an outfit that just was head to toe curated for them. I used to work at Michael's, so whenever that was custom framing options, I was genuinely offering them the options that I thought and believed would suit them the best for that piece of artwork, for example. I wasn't schmoozy. I wasn't gimmicky. I wasn't going to force something that didn't feel true or genuine. And people feel that from us. Sometimes people who are dissociated from their bodies, I'm going to use women as an example because most women are. It's how we function, it's how we survive. We join and get caught up in the popular group, in the trend, in the flashy thing because we're like, I want that life that she has. And that is aspirational coaching, that is empowerment coaching, and that is often coaching that sells you a vibe and says being in the room is the gift that you need to take your business to those next levels. And though I do agree that being in the right room can very much change your vibe, can very much change your business, it still is not enough. It's a portion of it. And the integrity of the person behind it who is facilitating and leading you is what's most important. So a thing that you want to pay attention to is the game. Call it my neurospicy brain, call it my, inner rebel, call it what you want, but I have a pattern recognition brain and I see beyond the veil. I see things that are happening before they happen. I see them as they're happening. And sometimes I don't always have the words for it. And sometimes I just know, something feels off for me here. When you feel that, pay attention to that. You don't have to rush any decision making. If a coach is pressuring you to buy something that is a high ticket, and if you don't buy it within a certain period of time, you will never be able to get it again, so long as it's not like something that she's scheduled that's for a group that starts at a certain date. If it's one-on-one work, there should be no rush. Okay? There should be no rush. If they are pressuring you to just get in the room, to just buy this thing, to just do this and yada, 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 you might want to check to see if they actually give a shit about you. Because very quickly, what I've observed in the coaching world is conditional transactional relationships. Well, if you can't do this for me, then I won't do this for you. If you can't do this for me, then I don't want to give this to you. Oh, you didn't sign up for my thing, so well, now I'm going to stop talking to you because you're clearly not interested in whatever I have to offer anymore. And it's like, we could be missing out on amazing opportunities because sometimes you never know when your ideal client says, I'm ready. And people feel a resonance to you. And speaking to the coaches and healers, but those who hire them as well, we feel a resonance to you when we genuinely know that you give a shit and you want to get to know us further and you care about our well-being. You care about what we care about. You continually, show up on social media and do your best to maintain conversation and connection outside of just sales pitch after sales pitch after sales pitch. When someone is sold to all the damn time, they feel like they're just like fast fashion shopping and you're just the person that they need to get that butt in that seat. Instead of, hi Rochelle, welcome to this space. Oh, I remember that you were telling me this story about your childhood and wow, you went to that concert I saw on your Instagram. Me too, I love that band. Make conversation, make relationships. The coaches that are invested and the healers that are invested in you remember. I had a therapist once that I was seeing, no joke, for probably 2.5 years who forgot how to pronounce my name multiple times. I'm sorry, I get that I spell my name not a typical way, but it's really not that complicated of a name. And that alone should have been a red flag enough for me to stop working with that person. Not to mention that she would often talk about herself and take over our sessions where I didn't really feel like I was seen and heard and I was actually somehow helping her. And this was early on in my journey of my growth work, so I didn't catch it. I didn't know it. I didn't see it or feel it. And when I reflect back, I realize, oh, that person was not the ideal support for me. And I'm going to say something that is going to be uncomfortable to hear because it is trendy and because it is a phrase that people use nonchalantly these days, but it's beyond selfish. This person, and the reason I know this is this person actually had some serious narcissistic tendencies. The reason I know this is because of the other experiences that other people I know that saw this person for support. People I know and trust, I sent to her because I thought she was really good at what she does, and turns out that they had a very horrible experience. And the uncomfortable reality is there are a lot of coaches, a lot of therapists, a lot of spiritual leaders, a lot of pastors and priests and people in these roles of healer, of guide, of supporter, of I'm the one who can help you change your life, who are narcissists. The reason why is because they get to be in the seat of power and get to tell you how to change your life without ever having to be vulnerable themselves. So there's a power dynamic that works for the person who is on stage, for example. And I want to be super clear that this is not everyone, because I would be throwing myself under the bus if this were the case. It's certainly not everyone, but I've fallen for it. I did. I truly did. Into the shiny pyramid scheme of coaches, coaching coaches, coaching coaches. I've fallen for the astrologer who talks like the expert but then provides nothing but fluff. I've fallen for hiring these different people in different stages of my growth because I didn't see it. And I've heard horror stories, like genuine horror stories, not just of the therapy world, but also of the spiritual world, where women have been taken advantage by leaders who prey on their vulnerabilities, prey on their insecurities, prey on their, I'm not spiritual enough, so please guide me. And this is where I'm going to use a strong word, but it gets a bit culty. It gets a bit culty. And the dance between sisterhood, community, and cult is a very thin line, my friends. Very thin line. The differentiating piece, in my opinion, because you're here listening to my opinion, in my opinion, is if the facilitator cannot be humble enough to express their need for support, if the facilitator always needs to be the guru, the expert, if the facilitator expects that you stay in the same position you're in, so creates a dynamic where there's a dependency on them, if the facilitator also says everyone needs to do this in order to get into the club, wear this outfit, share this on Instagram, do this in order to get this, that transactional piece, these are signs you want to look for. And it's not one size fits all. Because sometimes it's fun to say, let's all dress up in white, ladies, and go do something together, because that's fun. And we feel like we're in the club. And the dance of community and club, but going into cult, is tricky. And honestly, a main piece that separates it too is like the willingness for the facilitator to not have all the answers. And that includes a naturopath, that includes an RMT, that includes a Reiki worker, it includes your psychic not having all the answers. And actually saying that and admitting that. And that makes that person human and humble. To me, that shows a level of vulnerability and honesty that we don't often see in these worlds, especially in the rise of selling on social media. We often see people's highlight reel and not people's real life. And so many people come to me going I don't even know how to get clients. And yet for some reason I feel pressure to join this community for $2,000 a month to be coached by some expert who claims to have gotten $1 billion in 6 months. And they're realizing that the coaching that they got hired for doesn't even help them understand that their nervous system isn't safe to be seen yet, and they don't actually have systems in place how to share their message, and they don't actually feel safe to show up as their individual selves because that person that's coaching them is saying that this is the way you have to follow, and if you don't follow these rules, then you won't be successful. And I don't know, maybe I'm not the best business owner, but I'm here to help my clients not need me. I'm here to help my clients thrive their way. I'm here to help everyone who works with me, whether that's in a group or individual, to find their own path to success. I'm here to teach things I know because I've embodied it and I've lived it. And so I share from example, but I always encourage anyone in any of my groups and any of my individual work to trust their body, to feel safe to say no, to work with their intuitive hit so that they start to truly listen to their women's alignment. Does that make sense? So if we're talking about women's alignment coaching, and now I'm going to take it high level here for a second, what woman on earth is one size fits all? None of us are. It's why diet trends and fads don't really work because our bodies change. It's why we can't say that you're always going to feel this way depending on where you're at in your cycle. It's a guarantee that you're always going to always and never. It's why these absolutes make great sales pitches but are not in reality, and so they keep women stuck in a cycle of feeling like something needs fixing, something needs changing, they're broken. And women listening to this, you are not broken, you do not need saving, and you do not need fixing. If anything, we only need to learn how to expand our capacity for more, expand our capacity for growth, expand our capacity for abundance, expand our capacity for reach, expand our capacity to be seen. But we don't need tools that push us and rush us before we're ready. And even though many of those tools can help kickstart something, it's so important for you who's doing the work and following perhaps someone else's methodology to tune into your body and say, does this feel good for me? Not from a place of resistance or fear, because that's always going to come up when you try something new, but from a place of embodied integrity. Is this me? Is this how I want to show up for my clients? Is this how I want to show up for my business? Is this how I want to show up in the world? Discernment is something that I always circle back to, because now more than ever, there is a lot of false prophets out there, a lot of propaganda in the coaching and healing world, and a ton of people saying one thing online and doing another in their personal life. And there are many people out of integrity out there, and I'm not demanding that your healer needs to be 100% perfect 24/7. Good Lord, I am not that person either. What I am suggesting is feeling into the people who can take you into true transformation if that's what you want. If you are in it, in this industry, to make money because it's a business, then this conversation is probably not for you. But please advertise yourself that way. Don't advertise yourself as a transformational coach if that's not what you offer. If you're here to help people grow their business and you are a business-based, transactional business-based coach, own it. And if you don't know what to do when someone hits trauma as a different type of coach because you're not trained in that, own it and have a roster of people that you refer to in your back pocket for when those moments happen. If you're not a nervous system coach, then don't try to force yourself to teach a trend. If you're not a somatic coach, don't try to force yourself to teach a trend. If you've done your own breath work but not trained in it, you don't have to teach it. Not everything has to be for your clients. In fact, one of the best ways to see if someone is not that guru cult leader vibe is, who do they bring in to teach on things that they don't know? I kind of view this vision for the way that I operate with my clients as like sort of a, I'm like a clinic in a sense. I have naturopaths that I trust, I have osteopaths I trust, RMTs I trust. I have people who can do some like energy clearing work that I trust, that it's very clean energy. So when you come to me, you've got that all those people in your back pocket as well. And I've got tools and strategies that are holistic, that are going to support my clients holistically. And even though I know that my work can heal people's energy, and I know that I can offer advice on hormones and cyclical living like a naturopath can, I know I have tons of health and strategy tips and tools. I also know my scope of practice. I'm not a naturopath. So why on earth would I tell you what to do with your body's physical health if I'm not the expert? I can provide suggestions and I can provide resources, and I most certainly will provide referrals, but I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert on this subject just because I've had my own health issues. I'm going to talk to you about it like a story, like my health concerns are mine, and this is what worked for me. But there's no way that I'm going to advise you what to do with your health. I am going to suggest, and I'm going to provide resources, and I'm going to provide referrals. To me, that's ethical. Again, can you differentiate between the person who is in it for the money and running a business versus a person who's in it for the mission and for their clients? And sometimes that does overlap, okay? So both can coexist. This isn't an either or situation, and it kind of is sometimes. You will feel a resonance for the people that like it's their soul calling to do what they're doing. You can really feel it in their energy and their presence, in the way that they speak to you, and the way they hold space for you, and in their journey of their own story. There's no shame in them sharing their story because they've been through the thick of things. They've been through life. They get it. They see you. You feel they see you. I have always wanted my clients to not need me after a few years because I want them to want themselves and to need themselves and to support themselves. I'm providing tools that help my clients not depend on me as their coach. This seems to be radical, but it's really truly not. It's because I'm here for your transformation. It's because I'm here for you. I was trained to be client-centered. In my schooling to become a counselor, therapist, and a coach, I was taught that I put my client first. And I will tell you, when COVID hit, I was still in the therapy world at that time in the beginning, just mostly focusing on therapy. I often mixed therapy and coaching. But what I observed in all of the Facebook communities I was in for therapists, and even on the supervision calls as a therapist, we have to do those once a month. I observed how so many therapists allowed their own nervous system and fears to stop them from being client-centered. There is absolutely no reason why your therapist needs to know what you choose to put in your body. And at that time, many people were discriminating against people who chose not to put something in their body and prioritizing people who did, or vice versa. Now, there was a really simple, easy solution to not have to segregate and discriminate. Okay, the easy, simple solution, just see your clients online. And then you don't even need to ask the question, because unless they're coming to you because of that specific topic, you don't even need to know. But so many therapists were obsessed with categorizing people based on what they chose to do. And that decision became very politicized. Is that the right word? It became very political. That decision about what people decided to put in their body. And then it became a stance on morals, and it became a stance on values more than it became a stance on health very quickly. And when it changed into that conversation, that's when my spidey senses went up and I went, I'm seeing all these therapists who are supposed to be for their clients, supporting their clients through, we're literally going through collective world trauma and fears coming up, and they're meant to be supporting them in a neutral, unbiased way and following the client's needs and issues and concerns, and instead they're interjecting their own bias. And that can cause serious harm when you're dealing with vulnerable people's mental health. So the same thing goes for when you're dealing with vulnerable people getting back into their body doing somatic work because they've been through trauma in their lifetime, and now you woke it up in them, but you don't have the skills to get them out of it, or you woke that up in them and you don't have the support systems in place to help them walk through that. There were so many therapists that I saw that fired clients because their clients wouldn't disclose information, or fired clients because they did disclose what they did. It was fear on both sides of this, and this is what I'm saying, on an issue that shouldn't impact someone coming to talk to you about why they're upset with their husband. Like, it should be a non-issue. These are the things that you want to be aware of, because if your therapist is having a therapist and your coach has a coach, in theory, their nervous system will be regulated enough not to let these issues take them into a realm of bias and discrimination. Many people, and this is also, by the way, a sign of someone who is in the world just for the money and has narcissistic tendencies, because the narcissist does not like seeking support. They do not like being seen and called out. They like to be visible and like to be in charge and like to be in the seat of power. So they would never believe that they need help. Once they go to school for that training, then they don't need anyone else to tell them what to do because they know what's best. And there are so many therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, coaches, healers, psychics who don't have their own psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, counselor, coach. How on earth can you do the work that you do and not have someone hold space for you? This is, again, part of the embodiment, part of the integrity piece. I said a lot here, but the main thing I want to just point out is there is a difference and a resonance that is felt. Don't fall for the game. Try not to fall for the system. Try to discern who feels like a good fit for you. And if you are listening to this as a coach and you're like, wow, this is the first time I'm hearing this, Rochelle, and you're blowing my mind because now I'm really curious about this and how that could be impacting my business and how I see how I want to show up in the world, I would more than like to talk to you. So message me anytime, find me on Instagram, shoot me an email. I'm more than willing to talk to you about how you and I could even work together, or what spaces I have that will be a great fit for you and the journey that you're on, whether you're a coach or not, and you're just like, I just want someone who's genuinely going to see me and actually help me grow and transform and not just give me surface level advice. Hello, that's where I come in. I'm here for you. And I can genuinely say from the bottom of my heart that I actually love every single one of my clients. I genuinely care about their results, and I hold their vision with me in my heart, very near and dear. And I don't see so many clients that I can't truthfully say that. I'm selective with who I work with because I'm here for the women who are ready to transform and expand their lives to their unique soul blueprint of success. And together we uncover what that's like to carve your own path. You do you, your way. That's what I'm here for. As a woman's alignment coach, I'm here to help you step back into what it means for you to be a woman and a leader in alignment.